Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and we have today this, I think, very interesting but also quite complicated ESG topic. So first, we a little bit look what is corporate responsibility and ESG reporting, just as an introduction, and then we look at what are the main sustainability reporting frameworks which exist now and which are used, and then we study that there's going to be new European Union regulation, and it means more mandatory reporting. So what does that mean? And it seems to be that globally we are going towards integrated reporting, and some words about that also then at the end. So my name is Eva Hämenoja, and I work in Sykli as a lecturer in environmental management, decarbonation, and circular economy, and this is, well, can be, this ESG is of course broader, but it's also has very tight connections with environmental management and environmental reporting. So what is this corporate responsibility? What are the strategies and motives? So I think the main motives in the companies, they are of course avoiding risks, and then improve resource efficiency, and also improve brand and standing out. And now if we are talking about ESG, so it's also that this securing investments and financing, it has a very, very important role, and I think many of the changes have been made because the financing sector, because this sustainable development has become mainstream in the business world, and it means also that financing sector has noticed that it's very important and has become very interested in it, and has also maybe experienced that there are so many systems, and the principles of this reporting are not always reliable enough, and that's why there are some new trends which we are going to talk about today. So if we think about this levels of sustainability integration, and I think these levels can be, well, they can be applied in many topics. So the for the companies, the basic level is compliant. We just do as much as we have to. So this following regulations, and that's, well, sometimes even that is quite a lot, because especially this environmental field, it's very regulated, and there are all the time new regulations coming, and it's not always so easy for the companies. Okay, but then the next level would be then that this is that we manage big risks and opportunities when they emerge in our operative business. So this is part of our daily operations, so so-called managerial level. It's very often happens that first we want to identify the risks, but then we, at the same time, we also notice that there are new opportunities which we can use, and then it's possible to move to the strategic level, so where we proactively manage opportunities and risks of our business, and thereby gain a competitive advantage. So not only managing risks, but also having these advantages. And here it's mentioned that this highest level is this purpose-driven, so that we need to make sure everybody does it. And this is, well, I hope we could a little bit discuss about that. What do you think about this? That that economic success goes hand in hand with creating value for society, and of course that's very positive. But then it's also the discussion that how much this is the task of the companies, or is it more task of the society? So that's very, there are, I think, a bit diversity in the opinions about this, and it would be interesting to hear what's your opinion. So ESG, environmental, social, and governance. So these are the magical letters, and here are just the topics what usually, or in most reporting frames, what's in there. So of course, in environment, carbon and climate are now maybe the topic one, and there are questions about energy and fuel efficiency, greenhouse gas emissions, and technology and investments in this field. And after that, natural resources, water, land, forest, biodiversity, and sustainable sourcing. And I think this part is now, we have been talking about climate change now the last years, and now these biodiversity questions, they are emerging now quite in a strong way, and there are also criteria for this biodiversity. Of course, this biodiversity, it probably doesn't. It's not the quick. It's not so important question for all the companies, but this carbon and climate change, I think it's because of this energy question. It's a question of everyone. But then this biodiversity is connected to how, if there's any land use, or what kind of resources are used, what kind of materials companies are using. So this importance of this biodiversity is dependent on that. Sustainable sourcing. This circular economy is not mentioned here, but it could be mentioned also, because it's also when talking about the climate change, it's not only the energy use, but it's also about the material use. So if without circular solutions, it's difficult to achieve this emission reductions which are needed. So sustainable sourcing is very important one. Then we have this traditional waste and toxicity, hazardous and non-hazardous waste, emissions and spills, electronic waste, packaging materials. Here, of course, all of these, maybe this electronic waste and its connection, because now, because of this climate change that we and in this transition, we want to electrify this society, and we want electric solutions, and it means a lot of needs for materials for electric devices and batteries and so on. So it means a lot of new mines, for example, and there to fulfill all these needs. So we need also this recycling is very important. So I would underline maybe this electronic waste also here. And then of course we have management on environmental risks, assessing and controlling, and which is very important, is this design and certification also, but especially if we talk about circular economy, which is hidden in these topics, we don't succeed in circular economy if we don't change the design. It has to be the products and the services, they have to be designed so that this circularity is possible. So this sustainable design is also very important. So in this social parts, we have human rights, labor, health, safety. I mean, many of these questions, they are in European Union. I think they are in legislation, but maybe what has now become evident that because we have these global supply chains, so there might be hidden problems in this managing this change. So I think especially this supply chain management, there the social questions are of very great importance. Of course, also in society, but because many of these they are in our legislation anyway. So it's ethical sourcing, and then this supply chain standards, fair wages, benefits, training, development. We have equal opportunity, participation, product safety, quality, brand, and then this is maybe this community engagement and partnership. This is more on the voluntary basis. So workforce community, demographic equality. Equality is not voluntary. It's also in legislation, and it's in everyday practices. But then these alliances with key organizations, institutions, and corporate philanthropy. This is more what the companies want to do, and it's on a voluntary basis. And then the third one, this governance. So this is board composition, minority representation, gender equality, and then ethics and compliance. So anti-corruption, cybersecurity, and data privacy. These data questions, they are also well regulated, and now this cybersecurity, because of this our international crises which are going on, its importance has also now grown. Oversight, accountability, and political contributions, lobbying, that kind of things. And then with the economy, we have here what kind of executive compensation is offered, board leadership structure, and this tax transparency, for example. These tax questions, they are well every now and then under international discussion, because even when complying with the regulations, there can be big changes if how much companies use so-called tax planning or so, and avoid paying taxes in certain countries, and at least those companies which pay taxes and don't make this arrangement so much, they can use it as a positive signal for the society, and I don't know about the investors, is it a positive sign or not, but. And then risk management and mitigation, code of conduct, sensitivity analysis, and stressing tests. So these are quite general headlines, and there are many of them, but these are the most common contents of this disclosing frames which are used. And what about what kind of ESG information should be reported? So, of course, these risks and related opportunities, and in management here, the action schemes, project resources, targets, initiatives to generate and preserve value for company and stakeholders. Then this governance information, strategy, and of course targets which have been set, and then the performance, how well the targets were achieved at the reporting year. So ESG, environment, social, and governance. It's also that from the United Nations Agenda for Sustainable Development and Governance. There's also like another way to handle this case, and they talk about the 4 pillars, which has been also taken in the reporting in many companies. So there are principles of governance. Then it's talk about the planet, which means that sustainable, protect the planet from degradation, including to sustainable consumption and production, sustainable managing natural resources, and so on. Then the people, the ambition to end poverty and hunger in all their forms and dimensions, and so on. And then the 4th one is prosperity, an ambition to ensure that all human beings can enjoy prosperous and fulfilling lives, that economic, social, and technological progress occurs in harmony with nature. And as you see, these are quite world-embracing targets, and they are from UN, and they are taken they were first created for the societies, but now they are also applied in the companies, in the business life. So here I would like to ask you, I don't know how many you are there, but do you have opinions? Is this corporate purpose all these 4 pillars, or should it, because it was not very many years ago that at least in Finland we talk that the purpose of the business is to create profit for the owners, and now we say that we have to save the whole world. But I don't know if you want to comment on this. How do you see it? What kind of possibilities the companies? Of course, it's very good if we can take this very wide and high targets there, but in which way companies can do it? Do you want to answer?
In Switzerland, we mainly hear about it that we should create revenue and income for shareholders, but young people focus more and more on the purpose side in Switzerland, but it's mainly in startups, not so much in corporate or large enterprises.
Which you think would be do you think that the big corporates should also move to that direction, or is it better to concentrate on this creating the profit?
I think they should also implement some kind of purpose, because younger people, I would assume, are focusing more and more also on purpose for employment. So some companies in Switzerland already got some issues to find new employees. Therefore, it would be helpful.
Yes. Yes, and of course the companies, the big corporations, they have a lot of resources, and at least part of that could be used also for this more common targets, maybe.
Yes.
So why, for whom, where, what, how much this how to do this reporting, disclosing is not very simple. So here are at least some reasons why engage a sustainable approach and why report this information. So for the companies, so of course the meeting the expectations of customers and ordering parties is very important, and I think there are, at least in some sectors, there are more and more customers who are also asking for that, and take this sustainability a very important subject. Then of course for internally, this optimizing operations and reducing costs, they can this energy questions and circular economy, and so it's it's not only costs for the company, but there are great benefits there. It's a possibility to reduce on costs and also to optimize the own processes. Of course, then improving the image and reputation of the company and these risks and opportunities we have already mentioned, respecting and anticipating regulatory requirements, and then this attracting investors and reassuring lenders and insurers. So this investor interest it's increasing. So it is already here, but I think it's more and more in the future that the investors also study these sustainability questions before making these decisions. I think even now, I think it might be quite difficult, at least in European Union, to get any big investments for creating, for example, some processes for fossil fuel uses or something like that. So for whom should ESG information be reported? So there are many stakeholders. So shareholders are, well, for listed companies, of course, they are, and for others also, if they have shareholders, they are very important. Customers, employees, suppliers, local communities, public authorities, maybe also some NGO networks. So here is maybe the sign that if there's not positive collaboration, there might be some negative. And this is the stakeholder value creation chain, so that if the company wants to, if the desired results, they are enhance shareholder value or optimize stakeholder value creation here. So it's difficult to go directly there, but there are, it has to go, you have to go through this intermediate outcomes. So this ESG strategy, it helps. So for employees, it can mean better engagement and innovation, productivity, and so on. And for community, public image and community partnership, for supplier reputation and interdependency and trust. For customers also loyalty, brand premium, and word of mouth marketing. And shareholders focus on performance, attractive long-term investors, and mitigation of governance risk. So through these intermediate outcomes, this enhanced shareholder value can be achieved. So then about this data, which reporting data, some key principles about this data, and these are, well, this is very much in the accounting. Some principles are taken from accounting and disclosing standards and so on. But I still want to repeat this because this data quality is so important in this, that how much you can trust these disclosures and what is the real performance of the companies. So the first here is that the data should be balanced, and it means so that very often this, like communication and reporting, they are, or it is or this reporting can be more communication and marketing. So the companies, they only report on positive performance. They take what are the good results, and of course we all want to, when we talk about our own operations, we want to tell where we succeeded and which are the good results. But in this reporting, there should be also it would be more reliable if also those results or those areas where the company has not gone so far and where it should be more developed, then you could see that these are the good results, and here this is the area which we work on also more right now and in the future. Then the second principle is consistency, and it means that if possible, it should be so that the same, that the report would be made on the same basis year by year, so so that they could be compared and of course very often there must be some changes, but then the changes should be well explained, and there should be some reason why these changes have been done. And comparable is that comparability is very difficult, because there are different kind of different locations and different fields, and so the circumstances where companies operate can be very different. But anyhow, this comparability. It's also that in these reporting frameworks, they try to create some standardized metrics, so that at least to some extent also these different operations could be compared. Maybe the most important principle or concept is this materiality, and we come back to that several times there later. But it means that the effectiveness and final significance of a specific measure as a part of company's overall ESG analysis. It means that because there are always so many things which should be studied and reported, and so they should be somehow prioritized, and this materiality it makes the work and the report more understandable and more significant. But we come back. I have several examples about this materiality matrices, what companies have done. So then timeliness, how up to date is the information? Can it use for reporting? And how comprehensive is it? Is it complete enough? And reliable? Of course, they should be taken from the company's reports and results, so that they are reliable. And the last one is that they also should be very verifiable. And here again, it's more about this materiality, which is maybe the main subject, and in this data quality. And this is one definition. Is material issue is one that substantially affects the company's ability to create, preserve, or erode value over the short, medium, and long term. So here, this Novisto, which is communication office, they are comparing this sustainability and ESG, and of course companies try to do the both, but the sustainability, it's about the results and the quickest that manage the business for how it affects the issues and measure outcomes and impact. And here, when we talk about this materiality, it's impact materiality. So how the business is impacting the environment and the society. And this is like the traditional way of looking at what are what does the company's operations, how do they influence the environment, and so this impact material is about that. Then this ESG, it's about the issues, so and manage the issues for how they affect and affect business performance and measure outputs. And here the materiality is like it's looking at like vice versa. So how does this environment and social issues, how do they influence the business of the company, the company? And this is this financial material is something what's, of course, where the investors are now very much interested in, and that's why and for them this impact materiality has not been enough, or they have not maybe understood what is the financial meaning of this impact materiality. So then also this focus has put on this financial material too, and now there's a discussion of double materiality, which is also in EU's new regulation. It's based on this double materiality. Here are some examples. This is Novozymes company, and here they tell about the material assessment process, and first is this identification, and they have a list of relevant trends and ESG issues, and well, what they gather in the expert reports, and then they have also have their investor and customer questionnaires and peer analysis. So there's a list of different issues, and so they try to identify the as many as possible. And after that, there is this prioritization stage. So there's a dialogue with relevant internal stakeholders and where also investor relations and corporate or representatives for investor relations, corporate sustainability, and so on. So it's the important thing here is it's not only the company representatives who participate in this prioritizing these things, but also the representatives of stakeholders. And after that, they say that they compare the trends and issues that come up with prioritization with priority themes highlighted by key ES rating agencies and so on, and then it ends up to a final list of these issues, and then they are used in this disclosure. So this is their result, and here in this axis here, so it's importance to the stakeholders, and here is the impact on the company, and there they have in this area these issues which have a high priority for both for the company and the stakeholders. So there's innovation, profitable growth, corporate governance, climate change, energy, water, and so on. And of course, these are this disclosed matrix is also on quite high level. So this means that then these have to be then explained and they have to be transformed to the development processes and so on in the company. And so their way of working is so that they have this high materiality issues, and there they use detailed disclosure. Then they have medium and so limited, and then which have low materiality, so they don't disclose them at all. Then there's another example. It's Kesko, which is the Kesko and Corridor, they from a K Group, so biggest trading sectors operator in Finland. They say that their latest materiality assessment was carried out in autumn 20, and based on megatrends and background surveys, and they had 38 material sustainable topics and were identified for Kesko and its stakeholders. And then they had a workshop and where these sustainability topics were compiled out of these, and then they on the basis of this they have created this their materiality matrix, and here they also have here this level of stakeholder concern, and then importance of financial, social, and environmental impacts to Kesko, and they have here, well, they have climate change is very high here, and responsibility of purchasing chain and sustainable products, biodiversity. So there are circular economy solutions, and so this is then the basis for how they go on with their ESG work and ESG disclosing. I still have some slides about this double materiality, because it seems to be so, even in this EU regulation, seems to be so central concept, and so information on economic value creation at the level of reporting company for benefit of investors. So that's financial materiality, and then information on the reporting company's impact on economy, environment, and people, and for the benefit of multiple stakeholders such as investors, employees, customers, suppliers, and local communities, and impact materiality. And they together then form this double materiality. Here in this impact materiality, there are well, a bit different approaches. So sometimes it's only the environmental impacts, but for example, in this global reporting definition, they also talk about the impact on economy, environment, and people. So they have this like wider, not only environment, but more of this ESG approach. So then I have how to name this disclosure. What kind? So what are the reports the companies are publishing? So seems to, this is the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. Their article or report which I have borrowed here. So the sustainable reports, they have become more and more common, it seems to, and then there are annual reports. Then there used to be this corporate social responsibility reports, but it's so that this seems to be losing its position, and sometimes it's called integrated reports or ESG or something else. But the most common solution is that the company is publishing a sustainability report, or it's publishing an annual report, and the sustainability is part of this annual. This is an example. Again, this is a Neste company, which probably most of you know, and this was the Neste, and if I remember, annual. Yes, Yes, this is this annual report, and here they have the strategy. Sustainability is quite a big portion of this report, but it is here in its own part of that. Then there's governance, review by the board of directors, and financial statements here at the end. So here sustainability is part of this annual report. And this is Maersk, which is a Danish logistic company, and sustainability report. So here you have the introduction, then they have their progress, so targets and performance, and here then the data and assurance, so the numbers, and then the internal assurance of these results. And the last one is Olvi, which is a Finnish beer brewer, and they have their annual report, and again here the sustainability is the part of that, and sustainability, and here they have responsible value chain, best place to work, creating values for stakeholders, and consumer communication. They are here, and again in sustainability, this material, the analysis is there in a it's almost always reported in this reports, because it's the way to show which are the important topics in this responsibility, which is a very wide concept. So this is national rates of how many companies do this sustainability reporting, and I think this was in 100 companies. So it means this has been studied so that there are 100 largest companies of the country, and this study has done among them. So of course this reporting it's more of the business of the bigger and corporates, and bigger companies, and of course the smaller ones do it as well, but maybe they are not disclosed to that extent as the large ones do, and they also have this duty to do that. So in Finland it's very high, over it has from 17 to 2020 it's 90%, and the average is, the global average has gone also to 90, and these are the countries where this which are on this high side of this reporting, and here are the countries which are on the lower side. So and this is the number of the companies where if they do the annual report, include this sustainable data in annual report. So in this N100 it's about 60%, and the world's largest companies it is about 76%. So which I still want to emphasize that this reporting and communication, I already maybe mentioned, they are not the same. So because now this sustainability reporting, it like started from the other source. This accounting has been, it has always been well regulated and very precise, but this sustainability, it has been so, there's a tendency that there's a lot of well, descriptive talk and so on, and now what is important is that this reporting, it has to be obligatory, standardized, regulated, scheduled, quantitative, and vetted, and then of course companies and it's good that if they communicate about that and well, do it somehow easier for people to and maybe more interesting to follow, but there has to be this reporting background there. Otherwise, it's more or less nice talk, and this is somehow now these sustainable reports, they are well 200-300 pages long, and well very beautiful pictures and a lot of nice text and so on, but maybe it's not always, at least this financial sector is not very pleased with that, but they want more like hard knowledge and numbers, and this is now also when this framing disclosing frameworks want to be well integrated and standardized. It's also maybe to the goal is to get maybe more compact reporting and something which is reliable, and one can know that where it is based on. So we can go very fast. Well, why to verify these disclosures? That this verification by independent auditors, it ensures that companies' financial and non-financial data is accurate, and that's the main reason. And this independent assurance, the third party assurance is also it's growing because it's like an extra step, and it means some costs, but it's improves the reliability, and that's why it is now maybe the majority of companies want to do it. And here what kind of the companies have been asked what kind of assurance they have. So in this World Business Council study, it's 85% use external assurance, 8% internal audit only, and then 7% they say that they have no assurance at all. This is a little bit about third-party assurance. So this process-focused verification, it means that the firms report comfort that the established reporting rules and standards the report conforms with that, and it personal auditing company usually which certifies this disclosure. Then there's another way to do it. This is content focused verification, and see there it's as the name says, it's more concentrated on the content, so that is the content complete and accurate, and then is the quality of information good, and so on. But there it's then this kind of verification, it needs a panel of expert stakeholders that assure the information, and nowadays it's almost only this process focused which is used. So it's like these rules and standard are relied on, and then the report is compared to that standard, and the conformation is assured. Then the other way of this external assurances are the sustainability rating firms, and there are many, several, and there are some names here: Sustainalytics and MSCI and so on. And here the companies are, in most cases, they are automatically rated based on their public disclosures. So company is not always asked if they want to participate. In some organizations ask, but some don't. So that if they have a public disclosures, and then they are rated according to that disclosure. and usually they are based on 1 to 100 scale, and there has been some discussions because there has been also some because this rating companies don't look at the industry so much. So there has been alcohol and gambling and tobacco companies which have get very high rates because they have done their business well. But then, well, the big audience is also maybe want to judge also this their industry, but the companies have not done that. So this is, in a way, it's very easy for the reader. You have the scores. The problem is that this scoring is not made on the same basis. So it's again, it tells something, but there might be quite big deviations between different rating companies. Okay, we go on, and now we talk about the sustainable reporting frameworks, which are the most common ones which exist. So first, the basis for this disclosing was done maybe with this ISO standard. It was created already 2010, and it talks about what is socially responsible, and there's a there are principles for human rights, labor practices, environment, fair operation practices, consumer issues, community involvement, and development, and so this is compliance with these principles is voluntary. It can't be certified, but if you want some guiding, some what are the good steps to fulfill these requirements, this is still useful, this standard. Then I want to mention this CDP, and it's a not profit charity, and it runs global disclosure system and manage environmental impacts. It's concentrating on the environment, so climate, water, and forests, and it's I think the benefit, or the good side of that, it is that it has built a comprehensive matrix of self-reported environmental data, more than 7,000 companies and 620 cities reporting, and this CDP's climate change metrics are especially high valued. So it's used very often if it's talking about this greenhouse gas emissions and what's the situation the companies are. So then the CDP data is used. But it does not, CDP does not address social or governance issues. So for this ESG disclosing the CDP, it's not alone enough. This I talk about this scoring of this rating of this ESG information, and the CDP is also doing this rating, and there these scoring levels are so that if you disclosed, well, it might be almost anything. It's D. If there's if they can analyze it, there's a good awareness in this disclosing, it's C. If the company has these topics in the management, it's B, and if it's a part of leadership, then it's A. And this is quite interesting. If you want this CDP net, this is this is the BBB this link here. So for example, this is the A list of last year to 221. So A means that they are the best companies, and so there are 200 companies have made this year's climate change list. Then 24, only 24 which are which have this forests on A level, and then water securities, there are 118 companies, and here you have the list of companies here, and you can take country or by the name of the company or so, and see, for example, which I was proud of, this Metsä Board Corporation from Finland has A from all these climate change, forest and water security. So which is quite, there are not so many companies which have all these subjects on this A level. And this is just that this is closing companies, the number of that it's increased. So here in this CDP list, it's so that the companies they report to CDP, and when they report, they also then agree that these results can be published. So it's not so that they, so it's like voluntary for them. It's not so that CDP is doing it against their will or something. Same time, when I talk about the CDP, I just want to mention, because these are this greenhouse gas protocol is not a disclosing frame, but for example in CDP, when the company is reporting of the climate change, it uses this greenhouse gas protocol. So this is the existing standard for this greenhouse gas emission disclosure. So here the scope 1 are the direct emissions, indirect energy emissions, and scope 2 and scope 3 are all other indirect emissions. So not more about that, but it is so that this is and it's also in many other disclosing frames. They, as far as this climate change is concerned, that this greenhouse gas protocol is mentioned, and also the scopes there. So it's important that you know this. And the other, which is important, is the science-based targets, and this means that this is, they also work in collaboration with CDP and some other actors here, but it means that those companies who are working with science-based targets, so they have set such targets for their emission reductions which comply with this Paris agreement target, so that the total temperature rise would not exceed 1.5 degrees centigrade. And this is how it is done. It's then explained here, but it is so that it's like they have their different groups of industries, and then when the company is joining, their target is like scaled on the basis of their size and on the basis of the industry they are working on, so that they get their emission reduction target, which fulfills this requirement. And these are also the science-based targets. It's also that the companies who have joined it, they published who have joined this initiative, and also those who what kind of work, how much they have proceeded in their work. So it might be interesting also to look at those results. So here, if we go then to these real framing disclosure frames, so this is IR, so-called integral framework, and then we have global GRI standards, SASB standards, and TCFD recommendations, and we look at all these, and what I want to say only here is that this GRI standards are the most common ones, and I think they are able to keep their place number one here also in the future. So this global reporting initiative, it was based in Amsterdam 1997, and they claim that of the world's largest 250 corporations, 92% report on their sustainability performance, and 74% use their standards. So this is the history. So maybe not, we don't go into detail with that, but the structure of the standard is so that they have so-called universal standards, which are the requirements for and principles and disclosing and so on. Then they have standards for different sectors and standards for different topics. And also this global reporting initiative, it's they said you can either use the standard as a complete system, they use them to report some selected topics, and also they talk about this materiality, so that they identify and assess impacts and determine material topics. So they have here this guidance how to do this material prioritization. So they significance of economic, environmental, and social impacts, and then influence on stakeholders, assessment, and decisions. That's how they have defined it. There are little bit differences in this definitions, not, but always so that it's a company and the stakeholders, and their common view of the things. The structure of this standard is so that they have for example, they have a standard for the reduction for energy consumption. They have this reporting what are the requirements for this topic, and then they may have some additional requirements, some recommendations, and then guidance. So the structure is the same for these different topics, and this is again Nest, and import the extract of their sustainable reporting. So here they have, and this is very much the same as most companies use. So first I have here this GRI standard disclosure. Here, what are they? What are included in this report? Where is the location of this these results, and then they have, if there's some comments on this reporting or some omission, then it's explained also here. And here, global compact principles, these refer to these United Nations global principles. So they also refer. So they have here in the same table, they have this standard and this UN principles. So this is, as already said, this is the dominant global standard, and these are the statistics for that. And here only as a comment that when there are some new things, for example, this biodiversity, when there are companies which would be high risk or medium risk sectors for this biodiversity, only, well, maybe one so far, only 1/4 reports on that. So it's also that when there are new, this is 220. So when there are some new things in the standards or these requirements, it may take some time before the companies apply them and start reporting them, especially on this voluntary, on this side where it's not required that which topic should be reported. So the other one then, this United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I already, well, this was, we talk about this 4 Ps, this and here, so 220 for this agenda for sustainable development, which is mostly for society and the towns. It's they adopted the 17 sustainable development goals, and now also they are also now applied for the or many companies and corporates are also using these goals. So the goals are, well, they are probably you have seen them or maybe are very familiar with them, but anyhow, these are global, very large goals. So no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, and so on, and very good, but also very common and very well, I would say embracing the world targets. And in spite of that, there are 10 principles which United Nations also offers for the companies. So principle for human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption. And in order to make this easier for the companies, so there's this GRI and United Nations, they collaborate, and there are guidances for the companies how to integrate this SDGs in the sustainability reporting. So it sounds quite familiar. It's define priority and measure and analyze and report, integrate and implement the change, and so many companies use this SDG as a part of this global reporting initiative, or then they use it and combine it with some other disclosure frames. This is an example. This is Paulik. It's a Finnish company producing coffee and food products, and for example, how they are doing it is that they they have taken free of these 17 products, and they said that where they are contributing is health and well-being of the people, climate action and circularity, and fair and inclusive way of working. And then they have here, they have this is the focus area, so they are the SDGs, and then they have the ambition in 2030, where they want to be. For example, here 90% less greenhouse gas emissions from own operations, and 50% less in our value chain. And then they report what is their progress in this period, this 1 year, and then what is the focus from this year to this 2030, and then status is on track. So in that way, these very common, very large targets, they have become quite concrete targets for the company, and here I think they have quite good way to have shown what they have done and how they are going on. This is the same kind of example. This is Elisa, which is it's a big telecommunication company. So they are in very different fields. So they have taken this, that where they can influence is digital, social, economic, and environmental, this goal. And here they say that in this, we secure people's privacy in safe and reliable digital environment, and then they have here more precise targets, and also the performance, what they had gained last year, how many percent they have, how far they had gone during the year 21. And social, customer satisfaction, employee engagement, supply chain sustainable development, and this is the difficult kind. So have that target year is continuous, and now the performance, 100% of procurement and corporate responsibility teams completed their internal training. So they have, sometimes if you can't say what are the results, then you can at least say what have been the activities you have done in order to go to the results. And here is the carbon dioxide savings. It sounds good, 95%, and then here we talk about the science-based target. They say that they have set the science-based target and target year 21, and now they say that in 25, then the performance is 100%. At least I understand it that way. Yes. So GRI and then this SDG, they are two, and then I have the third standard here, which is Sustainability Accounting Standard Board standard, SASB, and well, I have chosen this because these are important and a little bit different. So they have a certain role in this disclosing field. So in 2020, this GRI and ASAB joined forces, and now they publish a guide how to organize and use the two standards together, and here this sustainable reporting ecosystem, they or SASB describes this ecosystem, how it can be, how it it works or should work. So when there are these frameworks and standards, so they are conceptual frameworks, disclosure topics and disclosure requirements, and here these are the information producers here. So these are the reporters. So they are the companies. One producer which is becoming all the time more important, and it's also is there in European compulsory regulation, is that this software providers. So in the future, this reporting information has to be published in digital form, and so that it can be used and used in an easy way, and it can be collected there, because so the software providers, they are also now, they are more and more important information producers in this description. And then of course auditors, when there's this internal auditor, so they also provide this external assurance and tell that it's the reporting is reliable. And who are the information users? So they are the, well, data providers, analytic platforms, then end users. There can be investors or other stakeholders, and then regulators are increasingly interested in sustainability information. For this Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, the SASP, what is important in this standard or this frame is that they have 5 dimensions. They have environment, social capital, human capital, business model, innovation, leadership, and governance. But what is, well, the most important is that they have 77 standards for different industries. And why this is important? It is because the industries are very well, if you compare like steel producing and social, some hospital or something. I mean these industries are very different, and then what is sustainability in which industry? You can't say that all these requirements, that they are as important in every industry, and how you can compare the results and so on. And that's why this is now one very serious initiative to make to have a comparable and so that within one industry the results could be comparable and reliable. So this is extract of the information, how they do it. They have, as I said, they have 5 dimensions. Here are now only 2: this environment and social capital, and then every dimension, of course, they are again, there's are these issue categories inside these dimensions. There are various of them, and then they put all these different industries here, and then they show that which is likely a material issue for companies in the industry. So they show here that with this, if here is now 5 dimensions, and in every dimension there are, for example, 6. So there are 30 different general issues. So now they looked at, for example, healthcare delivery, so air quality, water and wastewater, and these they are material which are likely very important. And so now the industries, they can first they can choose the topics which are, or they have some support for that, choosing the topics which are material for them, and then they have the standard for them which understands their world, their how they are working and their circumstances. better than just some general standard. This is their material matrix. So this is Unilever. So they do it in so that they have the stakeholder importance here and business impact from 0 to 5 years, and again moderate, high, and very high, and so as I say, this emphasis can differ a little bit in different frames, but the main thinking is the same. So as I repeat, I think in this SASB, the important thing is that they have these different standards for different industries, and so they are more detailed and they are more relevant than just some general. So they help in this practical work. So we don't get rid of this abbreviation. So now we have a task force on climate-related finance disclosures, and this is because, as I said, this sustainability has reached the mainstream of the business life, and that now this finance sector has become it thinks that that's impact materiality, and this only looking what the company is how the company is influencing the environment. It's not enough for the investments and the finance sector, but they want to look at all this finance materiality. So what does this climate change and so what does it mean for this business, and what does it mean for the investors? And that's why the Finance Stability Board, I have explained here what is. It's an international body, and they have developed a framework for companies to use in making voluntary climate-related financial disclosures for investors, lenders, and others. And what is in there? So what are their recommendations? It's so that there are recommendations for governance. Who is responsible for assessing and managing climate-related risk and opportunities? Is there sufficient top-level governance on climate change? And then on strategy side, that what are the impacts of the climate-related risk and opportunities on business strategy and financial planning? And how can an organization identify and manage climate-related risks and opportunities? And then what metrics and targets should an organization use to measure and manage the relevant climate-related risks and opportunities? So they want, with these recommendations, they want to have the answer for the question, how will the climate change impact your organization? And then they divide the risks into two groups, so physical and transition risks, and these physical risks, well, they are there because of the extreme weather events, heat waves, droughts, rising sea levels, and assessments should look at their likelihood, magnitude, and adaptation measures to required, and then they are also divided to acute ones and chronic ones. And this physical risk can result in damage to assets as well the operational supply chain disruptions. So here are some examples of these physical risks. Then there is another group, this transition risk, and this means that we are on the way to the transition to a zero carbon economy, and it will require structural, far-reaching structural, technological, and social changes, and it also creates risk for the business life. Identifying and managing transition risk is important if organization is to smoothly move towards a zero carbon economy, and their transition risk, they talk about market risks, reputation risks, technology risks, and policy and legal risks. And not only risks, but then there are also in these recommendations, there are also opportunities and improving resource efficiency, reducing energy costs, innovating new products and services, diversify business activities, invest on sustainability, and grow a more resilient business. And here it's also, well, there's also suggestions and information to support the companies in this transition. And this is a more detailed information about the recommended disclosures and for this governance strategy, risk management, and metrics and targets. And what is the status of this TCFD at the end of last year? So it's so that the supporters, it has been very successful in this among the companies. So the supporters, they have grown over 2,600, and there are more. Also, the number of disclosures, this reports has increased, and Europe is the leading region for disclosures. And this target was that this financial impact would be analyzed and disclosed, and it's also seems to show that it's this final disclosing this financial impact disclosing is increasing, and it's also supported by European Union. This integrated reporting, it's their main idea was that they try to see how organization strategy, governance, and performance prospects help to create short, medium, and long-term value. They were like concentrating on this value creating, and now, while we are on this period of integration, the SASP and this integrated reporting, they merged 220 into Value Reporting Foundation, and this is, well, their idea is presented in this slide. So they as I said, this is value creation, and they talk about finance, manufactured, intellectual, human, social, relationship, and natural value creation. But I don't go into more detail in this. So last autumn there was this climate summit in Glasgow, and during this summit, this meeting, it was published that there's going to be the International Sustainable Standards Board, ISSB, and it has started its operation now. And the intention is to deliver a comprehensive global baseline of sustainability related disclosure standards and provide investors, other capital market participants with information about companies' sustainability related risks and opportunities to help them make informed decisions. And well, this is more about this this integrated thinking and these standards and this streamlining disclosure. So here are this, we talk about this TCFD recommendations, and they are going to be climate disclosure. They are going to be integrated in this climate disclosure standard and SAS standards, where there were standards for different industries. So there's going to be industry-specific disclosure requirement, and then this integrated reporting framework is going to be conceptual framework for connecting finance and sustainability disclosure. And so these new standards, when they are ready, I don't know, some years, they there's not so much any brand new information, but it's more or less integrating the good existing standards and streamline them and to hopefully help for the companies and investors and everybody's work, because it's more simple to choose what is the relevant standard, and there's no need to report in many under very many different frameworks. So now we excuse me. Now we have the last part about this disclosing things. So EU regulation and mandatory reporting. So when looking at this EU sustainability policies, so there can be so that there's, well, of course, climate and energy is very important, environment, investment and growth, and then there is this sustainable finance. And now I think this mandatory disclosing and reporting, it's connected with this sustainable finance, and it's one of the EU sustainability policy pillars. And what we mean with this sustainable finance is that means the process of taking environmental, social, and governance consideration into account by making investment decisions in the finance sector, leading to more long-term investments in sustainable economic activities and projects. And EU's policy, this sustainable finance supports economic growth by reducing pressures on the environment and takes social and governance aspects into account. And it should be transparent when it comes to risks related to ESG factors. And it has a key role to play in delivering the policy objectives under the European Green Deal and US international commitments on climate and sustainability objectives. And why is this so important? Well, why is this so important right now is that EU needs to invest approximately 350 billion euro more every year during this 21 and 30 decade to meet the climate and energy targets. So because European Union wants to, and we want to make this green transition now. So it means a lot of investments, and it's very important that the investments, they are done in the right way and they go to the right targets. So these goals are once more given here. So reorient investments towards more sustainable technologies and businesses, finance growth in a sustainable manner over the long term, and contribute to the creation of low carbon, climate resilient and circular economy. And this is some kind of description of this regulatory timeline in European Union, and what I'm going to Well, in Finland, we have just new Finnish Climate Act from this year, and we are talking about the Finnish Corporate Sustainability Act, which is, well, should be during this government, but it's not sure. Maybe in the future, but we are not so much now. We concentrate on this in European Union, which is also, of course, applies in Finland, is this non-financial reporting directive. It has been updated in 2019, and now there's a new suggestion called Corporate Sustainability and Reporting Directive, and applicable estimated next year. And so going from this NFRD to this CSRD, that's one main topic. And then I talk a little bit about this Sustainable Finance Disclosure Regulation. This is something which these directives, these apply for the companies, and this SFDR, it's for the financial services, and this taxonomy applies for everyone, both companies and this finance services. Yes. So sustainable finance, and then this sustainable finance taxonomy regulation, which is already there. It's already exists. I tell also about the contents of that, and now for the companies, there's going to be this new directive, and this taxonomy also influences, and so there are more companies who have a mandatory duty to disclose a sustainability report. And on finance service sectors, there's going to be the Sustainable Finance Disclosure Regulation, and it's mandatory for them to report the framework for financial products and financial entities. But this is, we don't so much go into that, more concentrating on this company side. Now this taxonomy, it's a classification system that it categorizes the economic activities as sectors, so that which play key roles in climate change mitigation and adaptation, and they it classifies as the activities and with a so-called technical screening criteria, and this criteria, this criteria are already ready for agriculture, manufacturing, electricity, transportation, buildings, and communications. And well, I think in the future there are going to be more criteria, but these are already developed. And this taxonomy, this criteria, they belong to 6 environmental objectives. So climate change mitigation and climate change adaptation. So we have been concentrating very much about this mitigation, but now it has been also noticed that because the climate change has already, well, it has existed, or it's already here. So we can't only rely on this mitigation, but we have to also concentrate on this adaptation. Then there's sustainable and protection of water and marine resources, transition to circular economy, pollution prevention and control, and protection and restoration of biodiversity and ecosystems. And so these objectives, then they have this more detailed criteria for different areas, for different industries, and this taxonomy requires economic activity to fulfill certain requirements. So the industry or the the operation has to be substantially contribute to at least one of the objectives. So in order, if the company wants to, or some industry wants to claim that it is sustainable and get some investments because of that, it has to be able to show that it substantially contributes to at least one of these objectives, and it has to, at the same time, it has to be able to show that it does no significant harm to any others. And then still there are certain minimum safeguards. So it's certain requirements which have to be fulfilled. Also, in spite of these two requirements. So that's about the taxonomy, and the taxonomy is so that it influences these requirements. They are integrated so that they influence both the companies and also the financial sector in the future. And right now, there exists the EU Non-Financial Reporting Directive (NFRD), and it's so that large companies and financial corporations operating in Europe are required to disclose information on environmental, social, human rights, and anti-corruption matters necessary for understand the company's impact. And although this was just updated, its Commission is not happy with this directive, and so it has to renew it with aim to reorient capital flows towards sustainable investments and manage risks stemming from climate change and so on. And that's why there's going to be this new reporting directive. These numbers are only to understand because when I talk about big companies, who are the big companies, they are bigger than these. This is the enterprise category, so medium-sized, small, and micro. So this is just if you want to check what is the size of the company. So last spring there was this corporate sustainability reporting directive, and extends the scope of reporting requirements and categories of the companies who has to report. And now the new directive, it would apply to all listed companies except listed micro enterprises. If there are micro enterprises who are listed, they are not there. And all large companies listed or not meeting 2 out of 3 of the following criteria. So if the balance sheet is over balance sheet total of 20 million euro, net turnover over 40 million euro, and 250 employees on average. So if 2 of these is fulfilled, then it belongs to this reporting group. And this means that now under this non-financial reporting, which is now valid, there are about 11,000 companies that are subject to these requirements, and in the future there are going to be 50,000. So means substantial increase of the number of these companies. And the other changes. So as I said, this extends of the scope of the companies, and then strengthening the quality of sustainability information by introducing mandatory EU sustainability reporting standards. And these reporting standards, I show you they are right now under they are this EFRAG is working on these standards, and they will be based on this double materiality, which was defined there earlier. So it has both the impact materiality and then this financial materiality. So that's the scope of companies, this change of this information. Then there's going to be mandatory assurance auditing of sustainability information. So it means lot of market for auditors and auditor companies in the future, and also ensuring that sustainable information is published as a part of the company's management report and disclosed in a digital machine readable format. So here all this IT sector is going to get more work. So this, but I think this is a very important and very good requirement here, because that it is disclosed in digital machine readable format. It means that it helps a lot of this management and comparing this existing information, and it helps also companies then when they once create the system. So then updating that and maintaining it's far more easier in the future. And now these standards, what are then the contents of these new standards? So there's a development standard for large companies and separate proportionate standards for SMEs, and non-listed SMEs can use these standards voluntarily. So for these listed standards, they are different for large and SMEs, and if the SMEs are listed, it's compulsory. If not, then it's voluntary. And well, this sounds, well, of course, these changes, they sound complicated, and of course they are quite frequently these changes. So the companies are not very happy with that, but hopefully this simplifies the reporting process in the future, and reduces this number of different sustainability reporting standards and frameworks. And also then this new reporting standard, it aligns also this sustainable finance disclosure regulation and taxonomy regulation. So they are aligned so that they are not contradictory requirements there, but they are aligned. At least that's promised. This double materiality. So environmental is what company does first for the climate, and then this financial is what climate does for the company, and together these, here we have, of course, this consumers, civil society, employees, and investors, and here primary audience is investors, and this directive is going to these standards are going to be built on these principles. And this is the proposal for the reporting for the standards, and this environmental subtopics, they are consistent with EU taxonomy. So they are the same there as in the taxonomy: climate change, mitigation, adaptation, water, biodiversity, ecosystem, circular economy, and pollution. And then the social, it's aligned with international and EU standards, including this UN GB on business and human rights, so workforce, value chain workers, affected communities, end users, consumers, wider society, and governance covers all issues legally defined and required in EU. So governance, business ethics and conduct, management of relationship with stakeholders, organization, innovation, products and service and reputation. So this is going to be the contents of the reporting. So this is just explained what is the alignment with the taxonomy, but so there's going to be still new indicators, and they're specified in separate commission delegated acts, but I'm not going into that. And what is the timeline then? Now we are somewhere here. So by the end of June, final agreement between EU institutions on the corporate sustainability reporting draft, yeah, and the first draft of this EU standards, which then are the content of that. And the end of this year, EU member states adopt a new directive into the national law, and next year, by this time, entry into force of the new reporting requirements for large companies, and entry into force of the taxonomy regulations. So they come simultaneously, and by the end of June, second draft of EU standard. Okay, there's a second draft of standards. Publication of first reports following the requirements and so on, and then for the SMEs, it's not before January 26 entry into force if the new for the of the new CSRD requirements. And they say delay and change of scope possible. Of course, there's all the time a lot of discussion, and all the interest groups are, well, of course, controlling that there's not any group whose interests are very much damaged during this process. So for the financial products and finance entities is going to be this so it is the same targets, but it's for the financing side, how the financiers are choosing the targets where they invest money, and here they are like two groups. The first one is the claim to have a sustainable invest as their objective, and it's called dark green financial products. So that the objective is sustainable investment, and the other is that it is the investment is promoting social and environmental characteristics, and it's called light green product. So now, especially this definition, what can be a light green product? Doesn't exist yet, and so let's see. Maybe it's easier for define this dark green, which are really where this sustainability is an objective, but this which is promoting, then at least I would see very much possibilities to explain whatever investment so that it's promoting social and environmental characteristics, but maybe I'm too suspicious. And so this is the EU situation. So I don't know how much you are able to to remember that, but I think maybe this is the important, that the companies, there's going to be new sustainability reporting directive for the big companies, for large companies next year, and for the SMEs later, and for this final service sectors also this new disclosure regulation, and this is going to be, well, at the same time, so next year. And this taxonomy is also coming into force next year, and it's aligned, so the same environmental objectives or targets are both in this directive and in this taxonomy. This is a bit, well, you know, maybe this is a bit heavy material to listen to and try to understand and so. But if you have any questions or any ideas or comments at this time, I think we would have some minutes to discuss. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, please open your mic.
I have a question regarding the first part of the presentation.
Yes.
So in general, the data gathering for the reporting, does it need to be explained where or how the data was gathered, or is it depending on the company how they wanted to proceed with that? Because for me, sometimes it's not quite transparent. How do they get to those percentages or data in general?
Yeah. I don't know now, but when there's going to be in this EU, when there's going to be this mandatory reporting, so maybe it's more regulated there. So I think now it's there are these criteria for good quality data, but I think it's very much up to the company that how they report it. But of course, because now more and more third-party assurance is used, then the company has to be able to show to the auditors that where did these numbers came from.
And also regarding the scope 1, 2, and 3 for greenhouse.
Yes.
Is this also the same for this part as well?
Yes, it depends again, and because this reporting this greenhouse gas emissions, it's if you belong to this how you call it, to the group where they now my English is disappearing, so auttakaa päästökauppasektori, mikä se on englanniksi? Emission trade sector, the big companies and the big energy producers, there it is mandatory to report these emissions. So at least there it has to be, the reporting has to be very precise. But then it's the same with this that there should be this reporting that where there should be this primary data of the consumption numbers should come from the primary data of the companies, and then there should be also a reference where did these emission factors where did they come from. And but if the company doesn't do it and it's doing it on voluntary basis, I don't know if anyone is doing that. But I think because this regulation is, and there are more and more companies now becoming in this range of mandatory regulation, I would very much recommend that the reporting would be done on transparent principle, and and also all these sources would be there in the reports. It would help the company also in the future.
Okay, thank you.
This is a little bit repeating because I already have thought that this integrated reporting is coming, but so first I have here this is what kind of mandatory disclosing there's going to be in EU, and then this voluntary disclosing is that so this EU taxonomy and this criteria of EU taxonomy, and also this disclosing standards, they can also be used for on voluntary disclosing, and I think it's it could be useful for the companies, but so and the investors can choose to use the EU taxonomy criteria and their due diligence for screening and identifying sustainable investment opportunities aiming to achieve positive environmental impact. But this, of course, voluntary is voluntary, and this mandatory is, and also this, as I said, this group belonging to this mandatory group is very much increasing. Then there's also this forthcoming legislative proposal on sustainable corporate governance, which is coming, and this is then we can only hope that if when this new in Finland we are discussing, should we do it now before this European legislation is ready, and there are some parties which are against that, some are for this. This is very quick proceeding, but at least on this European side, we don't exactly know what are going to be this mandatory and requirement is sustainable corporate governance, and but one thing which is there for certain is these supply chains, also the environmental and human aspects of in sustainable supply chains, which are maybe during this corona pandemic and also now during this Ukrainian war, we have seen what kind of influence the supply chains have, and also earlier in that these questions, and also when we try to, for example, to look at this greenhouse gas emissions, then very often the case is that it's more clear to know our direct emissions and what are the indirect emissions of the energy and so on. But then when you go in this supply, if we have global supply chains and global so then it might be difficult to find out what are the for the greenhouse gas emissions there. So that's the area where we have to work further, and that's also something which European Union is for sure trying to support. And I said this number of the standards, frameworks, and initiatives have increased in recent years, but it doesn't mean that we have more frameworks and more standards. So the situation is reporting have not maybe improved as much as with a number of this reporting frames, and so there's a lack of consistent and comparable information, and it's also some results that companies try to do some selective reporting, not connected with financial information, and there's a risk of this greenwashing of the operations. McKinsey consulting this office, they made a survey where they ask both investors and also executives of the large companies how they see that what the future would look like, and here the questions was that should there be fewer or the question about the number of sustainable reporting standards, and of the investors, 40% answers that there should be fewer sustainability reporting standards than there are today, and 75% asked that there should be only one sustainability reporting standard. And about executives, the numbers are 28 and 58. So there's quite on that part. There's a quite strong support for decreasing the number of standards, and then there was also the question that or the requirement that companies should be required by law to issue sustainable reports. So 82% of investors supported that, and about executives 60, even in this company size 66%. So this progress which is now going on, it seems to be that it has quite strong support among these actors. And so, and it's also that there's a discussion that the global approach to sustainable report is necessary, because while climate change and the SDGs require a global approach, businesses have global value chains, face global risks, and access capital from global investors, and investors, companies, and other stakeholders benefit from a common language for sustainability reporting standards and facilitating comparisons. So this is also support for this integration progress. Now it seems to be so that there's going to be this European reporting, which is very much on the mandatory basis, and this international, which is at least partly on voluntary basis, and so there is this International Sustainability Standards Board who is progressing this international reporting, and then there's this EU process with mandatory, but also these two processes, they try to discuss and align these processes so that they would maybe not be exactly the same, but not also be contradictory. So this is the European, and this is the international sustainability standards. So the same things: requirement to disclose climate-related targets, target objective, base year, time frame, and overall progress milestones, whether the target is absolute or intensity-based, levels, activities, and resources to achieve targets. And then there are some discussions. So in this European disclosure of greenhouse gas emission reduction targets for scope 1, 2, and 3, presentation of the information over the target period, preferably in 5 years rolling periods, and at least including target values for the years 30 and 50. And explanation of greenhouse gas reduction targets alignment with global warming to 1.5. So this science-based target here. And here in international, no explicit requirements to disclose greenhouse gas emission reduction targets. And then any milestones or interim targets, not any defined years. and whether the target is science-based, and if so, whether it has been validated by a third party, and whether the target was derived using a sectoral decarbonization approach. So this is at least some description. And then this European sustainable reporting, it's based on double materiality, and then this international is on financial materiality. And one point still about this European versus global. So Europe this proposed carbon border adjustment mechanism means that importers will have to comply with Europe's higher environmental standards, and it includes also corporate reporting, so it may mean that European sustainability standards would not simply apply to EU-based subsidies of foreign companies, but also to overseas companies who simply want to trade with European single market. So it might be so that if this carbon border adjustment is and which forms it is approved, it means that the large part of world's economy could be based on Europe's trade power and the standard. So this is my bit unclear crystal ball here. So there's growing demand for decision useful sustainable information, which is comparable, standardized, reliable, externally discerned, and digitized. So thank you for your interest.